of Part A. Go on to the next page. Now read along as the directions for Part B are being read. Part B. Directions. In this part of the test, you will hear longer conversations. After each conversation, you will hear several questions. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part B with the first conversation. Questions 31 through 34. Listen to a conversation between a professor and a student in a literature class. They are discussing the poetry of Emily Dickinson.
One thing I don't understand. Back in the 1800s, when Dickinson was writing, critics didn't appreciate her poetry. It wasn't till the 1950s that critics started regarding her as a great poet. Why did it take so long?
Well, many blame the people who prepared the first editions of her work. Do you remember the name Thomas Wentworth Higginson? He was the poetry critic for the Atlantic Monthly.
Oh, yeah. Dickinson sent him some of her poems, right?
Mm-hmm. But he just didn't recognize the value of her style. You see, in the 1800s, most people preferred poems with regular rhythm and traditional rhyme patterns, and Higginson was very traditional.
Yeah, it's a shame his tastes were so narrow. Dickinson only published 7 poems during her lifetime, right?
That's right. And what's even worse is that after Dickinson died, Higginson edited a book of her poems. But he had no reservations about making changes, smoothing out the rhymes and rhythm. In short, making the poems more conventional and taking out some of the more inventive aspects of her work.
But these days, critics praise Dickinson for her inventiveness. So how did people ever find out about her original work?
Well, during the 1950s, Dickinson's family handed her manuscripts over to Harvard University. Those manuscripts contained copies of original work without any changes made by editors, and they were used to publish a more authentic version of her poetry. It was only then that Dickinson began receiving the critical acclaim she deserves.
Number 31. What aspect of Emily Dickinson's poetry are the speakers discussing? Number 32. Who was Thomas Wentworth Higginson? Number 33. What is typical of the poetry that Thomas Wentworth Higginson usually preferred? Number 34. What event of the 1950s had a large influence on what people thought about Emily Dickinson's poetry? Questions 35 through 39. Listen to part of a conversation between 2 students.
Hey, I'm going to see the orchestra tonight with my friends from the debate team.
Oh, yeah, I remember them. We only met one time, but they seemed really nice.
Well, one of them can't make it, unfortunately. She's sick. Do you want to come along instead? We have her extra ticket.
You know, I was thinking about going to that concert, and then I heard it was sold out.
Yeah, a lot of people go to this spring performance every year because that's when the orchestra plays a lot of pop songs people are familiar with.
That's why I wanted to go. The thing is, when I found out there were no tickets left, I decided I'd just watch that documentary film that Professor Hill told us about in psychology class. It's going to be on TV tonight.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. But Professor Hill said it's not required, right?
No, but she said that watching the film would be a good way to prepare for the next exam.
Well, could you record it and still come with us?
Good idea. And maybe tomorrow we can get some friends together from psychology class to watch it.
Tomorrow's good for me.
Number 35. What is the conversation mainly about? Number 36. What does the man indicate about the woman's friends? Number 37. What does the woman say about the songs the orchestra will play? Number 38. According to the man, what did Professor Hill do? Number 39. What do the speakers plan to do tomorrow? This is the end of Part B. Go on to the next page.